Okay, I know in 2014 I've been slacking on making videos. It's not because we're not trading. As a matter of fact, we're having a fantastic year so far. I've really been focused on concentrating on getting the chat room the way I want it, and we've made some rule changes in there, and there's much less clutter and a much more focused group now. So I've got that ironed out, and having had relatives in over the holidays, and then the flu shortly after that, I'm not gonna lie. I've been slacking as far as my motivation to make videos. All right, love trading. Sometimes this can take up a little bit of my evening, more of my evening than I wanted to. So what I've settled on is maybe one or two videos a week, just to highlight certain things rather than go over everything from every day. To me, it's more important to highlight some of the things we look at and explain them rather than just the boring, hey, we did this, this, and this today. This didn't work this day, whatever. So, and I made a video, I think it was called Fading Big Moves, and I used GES from earlier this week as an example, and we shorted this one up here, and it was a really, really nice short. So along those lines, if you get the time, watch that video. Along those same lines, I'm going to show you, let's see, which one was it here? KBR. This was earlier in the week, and it met those same parameters. So again, I'm going to try to sort of sync the videos together and make them about common themes. So you had KBR, and then you had that, what we look for is shape change, volume to the upside. This in and of itself is not a reason to short a stock. I'll slide the daily over, and you can see the topping tail. That's this day right here. You see a lot of supply right here at the top of this this tail here. A lot of supply to the left. Okay, so couple that with the fact that this is about the biggest candle you'll see going back several months. Okay, at the time this was when this was up here, this was a solid green daily candle, but it was still forming, and you had supply. You had a way bigger candle than you really ever see on KBR. So for that reason, I looked for a short there, and you can see we shorted it. I don't have the numbers in front of me now, but we shorted it up here on this red 5-minute candle, and that was it. Now it was a day trade, so I don't need to go into further days because I don't hold these overnight. But there's another example following that video about guess. Let's see, Auto Nation here. Again, this is along the theme of fading big moves, right? You can see the shape here. Yeah, another little bounce, and then some of the best shape of the day, decent volume. It definitely, you can see the shape, the pitch of the shape there. So this is potential bottom on an intraday basis. Okay, now couple that with the volume on this 2-minute candle here. I went ahead and called this long, as this broke the previous 2-minute candle's high with a low of day stop there. And I'll slide the smaller version of the daily over, and you can see we were down here testing the November lows. I can't remember if it quite got there or not, but you pierce the 200-day, and you've seen this in my videos. A lot of times when you make a big move just to get down to the 200-day and you continue through, it's not uncommon at all for it to go back up and at least retest the 200-day. It did come down here and test these November lows first, and that's right where I'm showing you on the intraday chart right there. And this wasn't a huge bounce for us, but that was the low candle of the day right there. And it grinded for a while and ended up closing pretty strong. So I believe we entered at 46.90 and it went to 47.75 that same day on 17 cents risk. So there's another example of fading a big move. Let me show you GALT, different type of play that we played this week. Now GALT looked like this, had this huge move. This is the daily chart, by the way, this smaller version. Okay, so this is the daily chart right here. And it had this huge move and then 3 days down into the 8-day moving average. So this landed it on my bounce play watch list. And then this is what it did the very next day. So it sets its opening, these are 5-minute candles, sets its opening high there, sells off a little bit, but holds up pretty well. And then does exactly what I was hoping it would do. Put in a nice little tight base below the high of the day. So this would be the first day that it sold off and then broke its early high later. Okay, when you have a daily chart like this with this kind of crazy action, a high of day break 4 days after the big move, 3 or 4 days after the big move out of a base, very high probability setup. Okay, very high. And so I went ahead and called this long at 12.51, just over this base, and a worst case stop 20 cents below, so 12.31. And there's the trigger. You can see the volume coming in. We were the first ones in it because we were, we had it ready to go. and this thing went all the way up to 13.61. So $1.10 in our favor on 20 cents risk. Another example of the kinds of things we look for. YRCW the other day caught our attention on this gap up on big volume. Pulled back. These are 2-minute candles. We've got a nice green 2-minute candle here. I just went ahead and called it long over this candle with a stop below it. So 14.69, 14.31. And we got almost an immediate push from 14.69 to 15.50 almost. So we got like a quick dollar there. And it ended up going up. I'm not sure how far it went that day. 15.86. So it went up $1.17 on 38 cents risk. But really, 38 cents risk isn't that accurate. I mean, it's accurate, but the second it triggered, it was off to the races. And those are the kinds of setups we look for. So today, IGT. This one falls in the category of fading big moves again. Okay, IGT was getting that upside shape. You can see the shape change there where it's almost starting to go straight up. Nice volume. Okay, now again, this in and of itself is not a reason. You don't just step in front of a freight train and short, okay? But let me bring the daily over. Okay, this was making this move, and you can see the top of a range. It was near. It's in a range here, right? And it was coming up to the top of a range. Had a pretty big move on an intraday basis, and that purple line there is the 200-day. So a great place to look for a short. I used 2-minute candles for the call in the chat room. Called it below this red candle, 17.97 with a stop at 18.04. That's only 7 cents risk, and look at that. Went all the way down to 17.52. So 45-cent move on 7 cents risk. Okay, and lastly in my notes from the week was FDO this afternoon. Again, 2-minute candles. This is this is a classic runaway train, if you will, or shape to the upside. I mean, look at it. It started to catch our attention in here because of the massive volume. But you talk about just almost straight up there. Okay, and look at the volume. Whenever you have that, I mean, the volume's off the chart there. In 2 minutes, 400,000 shares. I think this was on a rumor or something of Dollar General buying out Family Dollar. Who knows? Doesn't matter. I just went ahead and called this short the first time we get a break of a previous 2-minute candle's lows, and the stop's going to go at the high of the day. So, I mean, I don't know if it's going to give a narrow candle when I call something like that, if it's going to be wide. When you get something like this, though, this thing moved from 65 to 68.50. Okay, that's a big move. So generally, if you get even a percentage of a pullback of this move, you could be looking at a $1, $1.50, $2 move. So even if your stop's going to be 50 cents wide, you just choose the number of shares that make sense for you. Okay, so then you're not just guessing. So the very next candle, it breaks this candle's low. Okay. And the trigger was 68.02, and the stop's going to be at the high of the day, 68.58. Okay, so 56 cents risk, and therefore you have to say, well, if I go 1,000 shares short here, I could lose 560. If that's within your loss parameters, that's fine. If not, you just adjust accordingly. Now look what happens. From 68.02 all the way back down. I mean, even if you just said, I'm going to hold it until it breaks a previous 5-minute candle's high, you got out at 66.84. You still had a massive move. But, man, this thing went all the way down to 65.08. So almost $3 on 56 cents risk. That's not bad. So these are things that the moderators in our room look for, because generally you get almost immediate feedback when they work. And you can see here, when they work right away, and they work quickly. So these are the kinds of things we look for. I mean, not only crazy moves like that, but some of the other stuff I showed you. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do from now on, guys. You're going to have a video probably once or twice a week highlighting some of the things we do. I don't want to call myself lazy, because I'm not. I love trading. I love being in the room every day. I spend the entire day looking for trades and calling them out over the mic for the room, as do some of the other moderators in our room. So I spend all day doing that, and I'm just trying to free up my evenings a bit. So a couple videos a week just makes my life a little better. So I'll leave it at that, but I'll try to do at least 1 or 2 a week. All right. Enjoy your 3-day weekend. The market is not open Monday, so we'll see everybody that's trading with us on Tuesday.